The Eric Hunter
one-sided
podcast
conversation.
with only Jared and I.
Right.
And you only hear Jared.
Only me
No
all the time.
other person.
It'll be good times, man. Alright, well, I'm gonna check, I guess. Should I check on my own stream? I think I can, right? Yeah, why not? I know what I'm doing.
I was going to try to pull it up here on my computer. I'm trying to set up so I can have like 9 different windows all.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure your computer will love that.
Hey, why not, man?
Oh, look, it's
This
up right
computer
there.
used
It's
to
live.
be pretty awesome back in the day.
Hey, yeah, you're good, bro. Alright, so why don't you start us off?
Huh?
We're here. Let's do this. Let's go. We're good.
I'm so nervous. I don't know what to talk about, man.
Oh, man, just talk about life in the fast lane.
Hello and welcome to the Eric Hunter podcast. I'm Eric, and I'm here with my co-host Jared. I like to call soda pop Nye.
Wait, am I calling soda pop or am I calling soda pop?
You like to call soda pop.
Is it something I like, or is it more just like a blend in with the locals thing? You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
you like to call it pop. Every time I'm like, yo, I'm drinking a soda, you're like, a what? What's this?
I'm pretty sure that goes the other way all the time. Pretty sure you guys always like a pop. Like, what?
You're like, you mean a pop?
No, I definitely don't correct. I'm definitely not the corrector in those situations. It's
like,
just
I'm pretty sure it's a soda. You're like, no, because when you crack it open, it goes pop. So it's a pop, man.
I mean, that's a good explanation, I guess. I'll take it. I'll take it. I like that. But
is that why they call it pop?
I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just like it's an Ohio thing for sure. So yeah, you know, when in Rome, right? So there's that. That's a thing.
Yes, man.
That's the thing. On top of that, like, so I was growing my hair just a little bit, right? And then this whole, you know, Rona thing happened here. And I don't want to talk about this. But anyway, so obviously everything was shut down.
Yeah,
so
nobody cares about the hair. Tell me more about the Rona.
Now I got freaking like long hair to my shoulders, long hair. Like, literally to my shoulders. I can put up in a ponytail, long hair, which I've never had ever in my entire life. But it's also funny because it's like some people that are, you know, known me forever, they're not down with it or whatever, and they think it's weird. And they give me crap. They're like, what's this? And I'm like, it's my camouflage. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, boom, look, throw it up, man bun. They think I'm one of them. I can walk amongst them. They know not.
So I think
it's camouflage, dude. Modern day camouflage.
Secretly like man buns, don't you?
No. It's a ponytail when I wear it, first of all. And I'll call it a ponytail because I don't do the little bun thingy-majigger. Second of all, it's just growing out because, you know what, the wife likes it, so works for me, man. Happy wife, happy life.
Oh. Our Eric Hunter podcast season 4 got more views than I thought it did.
Oh, see?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, we've started streaming on
YouTube, Sly Night Guy's
YouTube.
channel.
So we have YouTube, Eric Hunter podcast. So you can just, I guess, for now it's on Sly Night Guy, YouTube.com, right?
Yes.
So cool, yeah. If you want to come and join and listen to the podcast while it's actually happening,
what? Even throw up like comments and, like, you know, maybe have a little bit of back and forth.
I bring that up because I was just pulling up the video right now.
Nice. I like it. So that's why when I saw a second one pop on, I should know and not get excited. It's just us two losers watching ourselves.
That was me, man. It's just us watching us.
Yes.
And you're like, oh,
take
man,
that.
we already, yeah.
Woo, 2 up. No, I knew one was me, obviously. And then I just saw a second, and I was like, so weird. But
it is pretty cool, though, that you use that, what game is that has the pictures?
Yeah, it's a puzzle game. It's literally just a jigsaw puzzle game. I explained it last time. I got it just so I could get them for screenshots so I could have cool backgrounds on my PlayStation. And I didn't want to pay for all the HDs. So yeah, it's literally just a jigsaw puzzle. I'd have to stop the whole thing to look at it.
It's cool though because when I search for the Eric Hunter podcast.
Yeah,
I don't know why I didn't just go to your channel, but
yeah,
I came up with a thing, and I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool picture for the." Oh, it's yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It
So
works
like
out.
whatever picture it shows up, it's a good like thumbnail for clicking on.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
cool thing.
true. Yeah, that's true. I
It's
didn't think of that. Yeah, it kind of makes
a
you want
lot
to
of
click on it.
problem. Yeah, I mean more than just
Yeah, the
stupid whatever.
title or anything. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I do want to maybe one time I'll find a way to set up to have like a some animated Eric Hunter podcast thing
Yeah,
showing on there.
yeah,
We talk.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll
Maybe
evolve
one day
more if
I'll.
we ever. Well, the dream would be though to where you could actually have enough time, and sit back and be able to focus on this more. Obviously, right now we do it just for fun as a hobby, so we can hang out and talk about stuff and throw it up there for anyone who wants to listen. But it'd be cool if we could have time. You just sit down, dedicate it to throw on, put on a production
Yeah,
of
man. If we got
sorts.
enough viewers or listeners, whatever,
It's both now, bro.
it'd be cool. I know, man.
Yeah.
I'd set up a little podcasting corner here in my room. It's already a
Okay.
workstation because of the
That's true.
Rona.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
just set that up. I'm good to go.
That's
I
true.
could even put a little camera on my face if people wanted to see my ugly mug, and just
I've been
sit there.
eyeballing some sweet microphones so you could get all like, smooth and silky.
I'm not gonna lie. I sat here and I was like, man. I mean, the way the microphone I have is just on the headset I have. The
Sure.
headset with the
Uh-huh.
microphone on it. But yeah, it would just feel cool to have like a
Yeah.
badass microphone just sitting there
Yeah.
in front of you and just be like, yeah,
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah, like
I
it's
can't
it, man.
justify.
Yeah.
I can't justify buying one, but
Not yet, not for our
it'd be cool.
5 people that listen, which is all our family and friends, but maybe more than 5, obviously. But yeah.
Well, I know the numbers, but I don't like to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't like to say.
because it wouldn't matter anyway. That was a pretty one right there, that night
Well,
sky.
I feel like if you're like, yeah, we got like 5 listeners, they'd be like, oh, they're just making a joke. But like, no, actually, it is exactly 7 people that
Right.
listen to this podcast. Any new person coming to the podcast would be like, oh yeah, let me check this out. And they'd be going, 7 people listen to this podcast. They'd be like, ooh. Next.
Make that 6. No, but right, exactly. No, I get it. That's how things work in life. I jotted down some things because you know how it always is. We do the chitty
I was
chat
gonna
while we're
mess
getting
with you
things
and be
going.
like, all right, man, let's get started with that game I texted you about. And
Dude, I could make up the game on the spot. That'd be easy. Let's do
I was
this.
thinking about it earlier today. I was like, oh, maybe I should be trying to make up a game. Remember we used to do that
Yeah,
earlier
we had some fun
in
games. Yeah,
the podcast.
we've done a
We do
little bit of
silly
everything.
things, but
Yeah, man. We did a little bit of everything.
unfortunately, I was, working and didn't really have enough time to
Yeah, man. Life happens.
put aside for that.
Again, because it's a hobby. But if it wasn't a hobby and it was something more, could include anything we wanted. Honestly, it'd be fun. But yeah, some of the things I wrote down. I just like to scribble down like just the thoughts because it's more fun and you just build off of it.
Topics.
And it's just funny because we're in this modern technology and they trace everything you do and you can honestly it's not as nefarious as we all want to think it is. Some of it obviously is going to be used for nefarious purposes. The majority of it is used for the nefarious things of advertisements, however you want to say it. They're trying to sell you stuff, right? Let's be honest. But with this modern technology, it's still so ridiculous and janky. For instance, I recently had purchased a new phone. Nothing super exciting, just a Motorola. I stick with them. They're cheap, mid-range. Good mid-range.
You got
I don't pay a lot.
top end iPhone 30.
Oh, I don't want
The
iPhones.
30, man.
I don't want anything to do with iPhones. I don't like anyone who doesn't let me do what I want with my own product. But anyway, actually, you don't own any of these things anyway. I digress. So, purchased a new phone. And it's ridiculous because I get so many ads for phones, but even worse than that, literally my phone company that I purchased one for, I literally today got a thing, $400 off this phone if you purchase it in the next 3 days. Guys,
Yeah.
I just bought a phone from you. You know this. You have the record. What are you're What?
Were you searching for phones a lot? Is that where it was like you
No,
Google
not at all.
whatever,
No,
search
not
for
at all.
phones,
No, I
or-
went right to. No, I go right to I get Republic Wireless. It's a great service. I love it. It's been super cheap. I pay $50 grand total for me and my wife limited text calls, and it works off of Wi-Fi with a lot of the data. Otherwise, we have data that works off the Sprint PCS network or whatever it's called nowadays, Sprint 5G, whatever it is.
Didn't Sprint get sold out to
T-Mobile bought them, but
Verizon or something?
T-Mobile and Sprint
I
joined.
thought,
I can't keep up.
but I
I
thought
don't know.
T-Mobile got bought out by AT&T.
Yeah, so it's AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint slash Verizon. So it's basically just
The only reason I thought it was Sprint and Verizon is because Sprint and Verizon I thought worked off the same signal. Like with this, they don't have the SIM cards the
probably.
other phones do, and that's because they use different. I don't remember the exact terminology. This is like when I worked back at T-Mobile back like
Oh,
10
dude,
years
that's
ago.
so
It's
long
because
ago, man. Yeah.
they worked different frequencies. I have I guess speaker here. Hi,
Yay! Of course. That's how that always works.
it's Jared. Do you want to say hi to everybody on the podcast?
Nope, just Mimi. So yeah, so
You
on
want
my
to talk
end,
to
I just
Mimi?
found it hilarious though, because the whole phone, and I'm like, why would you? Funnier still, I was going to get to the next point that not only do they see I just purchased a phone, but they see my phone purchase history, which literally the last time I bought a phone was like 5 years ago, and I bought, literally it's been 5 years since the last time I purchased a phone. So with that information, they're all of a sudden like, here's $300 off this specific phone in the next 3 days. I haven't bought one in 5 years. I just bought one, and you think I'm rushing to buy another one? Okay.
Yeah, man, definitely. That's how
Yeah,
these things work.
totally. But anyways, that way with
I
all
was
kinds
thinking
of
it was
stuff, and
like
it makes me laugh, man. It's funny.
I was thinking it was like the Google search or whatever because a lot of times I'll be curious. I'll search for like one thing,
Yeah.
and then I just notice that's what my Facebook or whatever just fills up with. Or God forbid, I actually click on an ad.
Right.
Then it's like, oh, you clicked on that, and they'll just show me so many things that has to do with like whatever that. I forget what it was. There's some ad recently that I was like, huh, interesting, and I clicked on it just because I was curious. I had no intention of buying or whatever it was. I don't
Right.
remember. And then, yeah, everything just lit up with whatever that product was. I was like, I'm not really that interested. I was just curious. You should really like.
Right. Ease
I
back
don't
on
know
that a little
if
bit.
like let's put it this way: if I clicked on the ad and I didn't buy a thing, why are you trying to sell me more? Which I understand. I guess some people try to, you
No,
know.
some people they put it in the back of their mind, and then the more it keeps popping up, the more they're like, I guess I will get it. But there's a lot of people like you and me that are resolute. You've
Well,
made your decision already. You've looked at the product. You've made your juxtaposition. You've figured out what you wanted, and you've either purchased it or you've moved on. Period. And if you're not going to
I was
purchase
thinking
it
it
now,
was
you're
more
going to
like
go
a.
back later, them sending you another advert. You're not going to be like, oh, I was going to purchase it. No, I know. I'm either saving up for it, I don't want it yet, or I don't want it, period. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't need a
Yeah.
reminder that I purchased or looked at this thing before.
I always thought it was more like oh they're interested in this. Maybe they didn't get it because it wasn't what they wanted, so we got to find something else. It's like they need to do their research, and we're
Right.
gonna help them with showing them all these ads. Or the other thing that's like
Hmm.
oh they wear shoes. They must love shoes. So let's just all the shoes in the world. Because
You just got so robotic. I'm not even
obviously
going to lie. I'm going to try
like
and cover. Wait,
like it's
is
just
that working?
weird. I don't know.
You're breaking up so bad. It's
Hey,
super crazy. Can you hear me now?
yeah,
You
I
turned
think
into a
the
robot and
the
choppy.
ad people have a couple of
Hmm.
um,
Eric is a robot.
that's okay, man. Because a live podcast, you might hear me as a robot. It might be
You're still roboting it up, but it's all right. That's fine. It's okay. It's fun to be a robot. You can
yeah.
do the robot
Ah,
with JT. So that's a thing. Look at that. I wonder if I should slow down how fast these pictures are rolling through. Do you like it slower, or do you think it should be faster? I wonder what the general consensus is on that. Somebody throw up something faster or slower. Quick, somebody comment. I want to know. Can you show me? Okay, so I was quoting that. But it works. Um, but yeah, it's not just with phones. It's like, I mean, it's like everything. It happens a lot after I've purchased it. All of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, remember this? Yeah, I'm purchased. I'm playing with it right now while looking at your advert. I'm on my phone." No, but or whatever it is, anything. It's funny. Makes me laugh. Moving on, since Foreman's, I think what happened, honestly, we heard him being sucked into either a black hole, a wormhole, or a vortex. I think he's just on another plane right now. Maybe another world. Maybe another universe. I guess that's possible. And I think he just got sucked through. Probably not, though. So some of the other things I wrote down here. It's funny because, like, how do I want to? I don't know. See, some of these are hard because it's like a two-person conversation. But one of the things I want to mention, lots of kids stuff because it's funny. We're parents now, so as being old parents, especially, kids take over a lot of your life, obviously, as kids do. And oh, sorry. Now I'm getting a text on top of all this. I can't hear you at all. No, sir. Nope, can't hear you at all. I don't think it's just me, right? Let me check the stream. Pretty sure he's gonzo, right? We don't have him at all. Yeah, technical difficulties, But that's okay. I'll keep things rolling. Foreman, can you say anything? Are you talking? Yeah, no, it's just me. Nobody else is there at all. I don't know. So part of it is because of his setup. His setup's super crazy because he's doing all the work from home and stuff. So doing that. Oh, look, see, he even just left my party and everything. None of that is good. All of that is bad. And then he came back. I wonder if he can hear me now. Can you hear me now? We cannot hear you. I still can't hear him. Honestly, it's really hard to keep this up. I keep getting distracted, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it out there. Some of the things me and Foreman are trying to figure out, Eric, here, if we want to add content, spice things up, kinds of different things, again, to do with this format, podcasting and whatnot. So we thought it might be fun if you guys were interested. We could do some like movie reviews, or not even necessarily reviews, but just kind of geeking out over movies, honestly, talking about what we like, spoilers and everything. We would obviously warn you. It's one of the things we were talking about. I kind of mentioned maybe it might be fun to do like a book club type thing. We can read a book separately on our own. You guys could do it on your own as well. And then me and Foreman get together, discuss it. Maybe have somebody on from time to time, discuss some books with us too. Just a couple other ideas to throw out there. Once in a while, obviously it wouldn't be every week, every podcast, every time, but it would be something to kind of spice things up, change things around a little bit. I don't know what has happened to the Forminator. It's sort of poopy because we literally were on talking probably, for an hour. And if we count up until things went bad here, an hour and 15 minutes, me and Foreman were on talking, setting things up, making sure things are working. And then everything's been peachy keen until we're actually good to go. And then, of course, in the middle of the podcast, he's gone. He's still gone. Still can't hear him. That's okay, though. We were discussing earlier, Foreman and I, Eric and I, how weird it is that...
So weird.
Time. Wow, that's loud, but you're back. Yes.
It is loud?
It's so loud. Yeah. But I could have my headphones up too. Let me turn my headphones down a bit. There we go.
Did you crank them up because you couldn't hear me at all?
Yeah, that might have happened. Yeah, I might have done that. Like, is it me? Is it him?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to edit that out or not now.
I mean, whatever. It is what it is. It's live. Crazy things happen live.
I'm going to take that whole chunk out, a big chunk of that, and we'll say, if you want to hear what happened, you're going to have to go to the
Eric Hunter podcast and check it out. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, go to the YouTube. Go
Oh,
to
the
the
Slide
YouTube
Night
channel.
Guy one. Yeah,
We,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. We don't have the Eric Hunter podcast. Well, I think I do have it on YouTube, but that's not where we stream it. So just go
Well, we
to.
should. You need to get it hooked up with yours, and we'll just broadcast it
I'll
on
set it up,
yours.
man.
But because mine's already set to broadcast
Um,
on this, because I stream sometimes too. But
yeah, whatever. I mean, go to YouTube/Slide Night Guy.
for
It's,
now, yep, that's where we're at
yeah.
tonight, and for this one,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I was gonna.
And you'll be able to hear that, or just listen to all the live podcasts all the time. You'll be able
Because
to hear
who
all that
knows?
rambling. Because I could feel the pain when you were going, ooh.
Well, I was getting ready to read something, and then I got a text, and then I started to read my note. I
Oh, it
was like,
started
"That's
off.
really hard to carry
It's
by yourself because it's legit a conversation, not
it's
a funny
it's
thing."
it started off so awkward because I didn't know you couldn't hear me at first. You were
Uh,
like, "Oh, you sounded robotic there," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm a robot."
yeah, no, we got
And
some
you're
of
like,
that. We got some of you goofing off, but not. It was
and
weird.
then yeah, I thought you must because you kept on going. I was like, "Okay, cool," and then you started like talking over me a bit, and I was like, "Wait, he can't hear me."
Yeah,
Oh.
and then you were just gone like a freight train,
I
almost
was
like
like, "Can you hear me
yesterday.
now? Can you hear me?" I was trying to say the robot voice. The way I'm doing it's ironic because I got it set up finally. The way that I'm doing the podcast when I actually upload the podcast, it won't sound like a robot. So it should be just normal. It should be my voice normal and your voice normal. The only real,
Oh, weird. So it'd be really awkward because I'm talking over you, and we'll have no idea why.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I could cut myself out completely, but I don't know. My point is when I run robotic, my voice on my end, and when I upload the podcast, if I do it this way, it'll just sound normal. So I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And you'll be like, "Oh my god, you just sounded like a robot right there.
And
So
everyone will be like,
crazy."
"What is he on?" He sounded totally like himself. What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
like
could.
that.
I mean, I guess I could go pull the audio off of the. See, that's the thing. I really like not having to edit these too much, and I question even when I was editing them because we don't have a
Hmm.
lot of listeners.
Hmm.
Like I don't mind doing it if it makes a big difference and there's a lot of people listening, but it's like, yeah, is it really worth it? Like you really get that much more out of
Yes.
a edited.
Yes, because of the archivalness. When people go back, once this thing takes off, and they'll be like, "What? Look at all this stuff from before they were
No,
big. They were such
because
nerds." Oh.
No, because then I could just not edit it and then get big and then edit it and be like, oh man, they came so far. Oh, look at it.
I mean, I think we came
Except,
far anyway. I don't even think you remember our first mic, but it was like snap, crackle, pop, everything I was doing. Yeah, it was pretty rough. So yeah, I think we've already come a huge way. But yeah,
I
agreed.
think we have gone through a couple of different
Headsets and
sound
mics and sound. Yeah,
qualities.
agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've experienced many different things. Honestly, I think, by the way, right now sounds the best, which is hilarious, but that's fine. This new headset works good, but I just think, I don't know, it's coming across a lot purer. But that's fine. It's,
Because it's over not.
it's over not. I love that you just disappeared right at it's over not. It's hilarious to me. Why is this doing this, though? You're gone again, just so you know. You could probably hear me, but I can't hear you again. Which is funny. And knowing that, I basically could just not say anything and just force you to carry it right now, knowing you'd have to pick up the slack. So, how's that feel?
Would be able to tell you which one sounds better.
Oh, we can. It would be a test then. Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
A test.
I totally didn't lose connection right there at all.
No, because you forgot to keep your controller alive again.
No, I don't think it's that because that timed out way too fast for that, man. I think honestly, with that connect, I think what's happening for those of you who don't know, I have a setup where it's all Wi-Fi here, and I just think it's like not the best.
No, Wi-Fi's
So
never the
when
best.
yeah, let me tell you a story. I don't know when was the last time we uploaded? Had coronavirus happened yet?
No way,
No,
man.
right?
Way before that.
So when that happened, I work at a office where we just talk on the phone all day long, kind of emails mostly, actually.
Maybe a month
And it,
before that, but yeah, because that's kind of when it stopped when you came home, and we're like, it's too hard with me being home
I
now.
think we stopped right before it, and then I came home. And we were like, "Yeah, let's start it back up." Like 2 weeks or something after, and I was like,
Yeah,
"I got this whole setup." I was so nervous about like messing up my setup and not being able to work from home, and then I was like,
right,
"What can I do
right.
now?" The reason for that, and I'm going to explain it in detail now. I don't know if I explained it to you or not, but when we go to when we work in my office, they have thin clients.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
it's not an actual computer. The thin client goes through the network and it connects to the server for my company somewhere. And so then it pulls up the computer that way. So when they implemented the work at home, I was originally like, oh, this will be easy. They'll just tell us, just download this thing on your computer at home or whatever
Yeah,
and just work that way. But no, because my company's stupid. So they actually made it easier for other people. So they took out the whole equation of maybe your computer, blah, blah, blah. They're like, just go home because we think this might happen. Um, do a speed test and I think something else. Anyway, they wanted to make sure your internet was fast enough. And then what happened is we actually, when we got the go ahead, hey, everybody's working at home, we had to take the thin client from our desk and unplug it and physically bring that thing home and plug it in
yeah.
like at home. So and then it worked just seamlessly. It would go through and it you just connect it to the internet and it go through and it would connect and it works exactly at home like does at the office. Like there's not any. Sometimes when I'm on the phone with people, we're like, "Oh, I'm working at home." They're like, "Oh, yeah, so you don't have as much access to things." No, I have exactly the same amount of access. For
Right.
it's the only difference. Literally, the only difference is I can't print documents out, which I never really did before
Why would
to
you
begin
need
with.
to?
Every now and then you do, but I actually found a way around that anyway. So,
Noise. Of
hey,
course you did.
um,
You're like,
so
that's annoying. How to not do that?
that's nothing. That's nothing compared to what I had to do, because oh, and you can't. The other thing, obviously, you can't get up and walk and talk to somebody. So that's the big thing. But we set up some kind of group chat thing, so I could
Gotcha.
just type in the chat, which is the same
It's
exact thing as
actually
going
it's
and talking
probably
to somebody.
faster, isn't it?
Uh,
Do you get a better response
yes and
time?
no.
Hmm.
Yes and no. Yes and no. The response time isn't necessarily better, but there's everybody in there, so you're more likely to get somebody who knows what they're talking about, as
Yeah,
opposed to you go
'cause
to
right.
you
Hmm.
go to this person, you be like, hey, and be like, I don't know, you got to go talk to this person. You be like, okay, and you go to talk to like, that. It gets rid of that. But I remember now, this it was the internet speed that you needed, and it was access to like where you would be at some location in your house with internet and like no distractions or whatever. So I have this one. This
Right.
is perfect.
That's hilarious. Oh yeah,
Somewhere
your
along the
man cave.
lines, because they made us, yeah, somewhere along the lines, because they made us like answer these questions a couple times.
Yeah.
I realized that this thin client has to be plugged in to the router, like a physical connection.
Okay. Right.
And I was like, oh, wait a second. My man cave, which is where I am now, and it's totally silent, completely free of distractions, is not where my router is. So my router's
Right.
downstairs, like in the living room, which is prime time for like people bothering you all day long. I have like three little
Absolutely.
kids in the house, plus my wife slash girlfriend. So, um,
It sounds like you have a girlfriend and a wife. He just has one.
right. Okay, no. Svetlana, if you remember
There
her
you
from
go.
previous podcasts.
There you go.
She is my girlfriend.
Boom.
Sometimes gets referred to as the wifey or whatever. So, no.
Yes.
And I realized this like a couple of days. I was like, wait, I'm going to have to plug this thing in, but I don't have a way of plugging in and so it was like the day before or 2 days. 2 days before. I was trying to figure out like, oh, maybe I can get a cable and run it through the house. Like
Right.
I got this huge like LAN cable. I was like, oh no, wait, I could go out through the window maybe if I have to, because that's a more direct line. I was thinking of all these like janky ways of doing it,
Right.
man. And I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I'm clever. I'll be able to figure out a way to get that thin client connected through Wi-Fi or something. I don't know. I was like, worst case scenario, I guess I'm just gonna have to like work in the living room. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I have this old router that I bricked
Mm.
because back in the day I had the router and they're like, oh yeah, you just install this other firmware
Right.
and you can do some other stuff with it. So I ended up having to install like I tried it before and it fried the router, or so I thought. I was like, it stopped halfway through. This thing doesn't turn on. It doesn't do anything. But
Mm-hmm.
I still had it, and like literally the night before, like everything went down. I didn't know, but I was like, I got to make sure this is set up. If I can do this or not, like just so I know.
Sure.
Because for those of you who don't know, you can install different firmware onto a router. So I knew I could set up this router to connect to my Wi-Fi network. And I Googled all this, and then I can plug the LAN cable into this router that's connecting to Wi-Fi, and the thin client will think it's hardwired in.
Nice. You're
So it's a
cheating it so
hardwire to
hard.
the yeah, so it's a hardwire to the router. So it's like,
Right.
yep, we're hardwired, but the router is getting the
So
internet through the Wi-Fi.
dumb. So you could travel
So,
anywhere with that thing, really,
um, what do you mean?
as long as you connect to the
Oh,
Wi-Fi to your router, right? Can't you just pick up a Wi-Fi signal at McDonald's and reroute it to your router and have it plugged in and be working right there at McDonald's?
maybe McDonald's wouldn't work because they have that stupid
Yeah, they have the
like,
block on it where
oh,
you have to
you gotta.
sign in. Yeah. But you know what I
I'm not
mean.
sure if.
Panera, well, I know Panera's the same way, but whatever. There's ones that you don't have to do that crap with.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah. I would have to find a way to plug it in, but yeah. So I had a.
Hmm.
I finally got it to do the after Googling, figuring out that I could actually doing it. Find a way to like actually set it up for what I wanted because it's hard to find that tutorial online. It was some other thing that kept on popping up all the time. I don't know if you ever tried to Google something and something very similar always pops for it and it's not the thing that you specifically want. You know what I mean?
Sure, yes.
So that's what happened to me. It would be like it was just some other setup that would always show up for me.
Right.
Uh, anyway, I finally got the one that I wanted. I went through and I figured out how to get the firmware onto this router that I didn't think was going to work ever again.
Right.
I like had the router, but I couldn't find the little power brick for it either. I got that all set up, and I plugged in like some. Like I plugged in my computer or whatever, and I was like, "Yeah, it seems to be working now. Okay,
Wow.
so I guess we're good."
There you go.
And then the next day, we're like, "All right, you're going home. You're plugging in the the thin clients." And I was like, "I guess we're really gonna find out if it's gonna work now." Then
Nice.
the the other problem was with the speed. I have super fast internet, but for some reason here the Wi-Fi seems to be like a little weird.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if that speed was going to be good or not. But I moved the router. I found out my router was getting really slow speed, like it was barely fast enough. But then I would go on my computer and it has the Wi-Fi just in it,
Yeah.
kind of, more or less, and it was super fast. I was like, why is there a difference between my router speed and my Wi-Fi speed?
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out, I think it's because my router was literally like sitting next to just a box of cables. Like
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of, because I
Yep.
had been messing around
That'll
with
do
the
it.
LAN cables and trying to find the longest one that I had, and I just
Right.
had like spare,
Yep.
like, extension cords. It was sitting right next, maybe not right next to it, but I looked at it and I was like, oh, there's this huge box of cables that's right in between like the line of sight of the actual router and this router to pick up the Wi-Fi signal. I was like, yo, man, it's totally messing up this signal.
Oh,
I
man.
guarantee it.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's not even a
So I
question.
moved, yeah, I moved the router that I have on the other side of the room to try to get it as close to my Wi-Fi signal as possible. But it was
Nice.
just crazy, like that I had to go through all that setup just to get this set up. the reason I said all that is because I had to go through so much trouble to get that set up. I was super paranoid about like, oh man, if I touch this router, it's gonna mess up and
Right.
turn
And it'll
off, and my
know
whole thing's gonna go
forever.
down.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, and then you'd be forced back to work or something. Right.
Yeah, and there's a couple times where I would have issues when we first started doing it, like the first week or two.
Sure.
Um, I think for the first 3 weeks, each day out of each week, there was an issue that I would have, like a like work breaking. I don't want to say like game breaking. I want to say game breaking, like glitch. But
Right.
there'd be an issue that would happen where, like the first time I tried to log in and I couldn't log in to the thin client, and it was saying there's like no connection found. I was freaking out because I was like, oh, there's some kind of glitch between my router and this thing, and I couldn't tell if it was like a legitimate issue or just because my setup's so wonky for that thing. And it happened like 2 or 3 times. One time I literally had to like drive to work to switch out the router.
No.
The thin client, I got there. There's like nobody there. It's a ghost town, and I'm trying to find like one that works at some other person's station.
Hello? Is anybody
Exactly,
here?
man. It's crazy too because we have name tags, and
Yeah.
somebody was borrowing my car, and my name tag's always in my car, and I didn't even think about it till I was like basically there, and then I was like, I don't have a name tag, I can't get into the thing, but nobody's
You're
here
in
because
flip-flops and
coronavirus.
shorts, and they're like, I swear I work here. And they're like, right, move along,
Not even.
hobo.
Not even, because it was so dead there. There wasn't even a security guard there to like let
The-
me in. And there was nobody coming in and going out like how you normally do it. I would go
Sure.
like if you forget your name tag,
Yeah.
the security guys,
You just
somebody would
grab
let
the
you
door.
in like
Right.
10 seconds or something. But
Right.
there's nobody there. I was like, I can't even
Hello? Hello?
yeah. All the meanwhile, I'm like texting my boss, like, I'm here, but I don't have my name tag. Nobody's letting me in. And she's like, just go in without it or whatever. I was like, you don't understand. There's nobody here.
Right. Like, how do I get in?
I
Okay.
stood at the. And
I'm
the word,
I'm driving back for ramming speed. I'll be in a minute. I have your permission,
also,
right?
also, because I was switching out my little thin client, like I had to return the one I had and take a new one. So I have like this like computer thing in my arms, like standing outside
Right.
the door, all suspect like.
Right.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
awkward.
sketch. Plus, that's not your scene anyway. It's not even my scene. That's so awkward anyway. When you feel out of place and you don't belong, and you feel like you're doing something bad, even though you know you're not, and you look like you're doing
Yep.
something bad, so you feel like you're doing something bad, and you know you're not, but then you're instantly guilty, and it's just like, ugh. I just
I
want
was
to go
waiting there for
inside.
like.
So how did it resolve?
I was waiting there for a while for like I don't know how long it was. It might have not been that long, like 5 minutes or something like that.
Which is like an
Nobody.
hour when you have no idea how long you're going to be standing there. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just standing there like, well, nobody's working, so and it's just the one. My boss told me it was just the one, like head of whatever, and he's in a meeting. He was supposed to meet me when I showed up there, so to let me in, but he ended up having some meeting or some phone call he has to
Yeah,
go to. So I
right.
was like,
The classic boss is in a meeting while
yeah,
he's out
yeah.
back teeing off. Right, uh-huh.
So it turned into like the only guy that I actually know is in this building is busy and not coming out. And I don't. She's saying there's nobody. I was like, I don't know what to do, man. I stood there and I was like, I guess I'm gonna have to go home to get my name tag. So I started walking back. I got in the car, turned it on. I was like, okay, we're going. And I look over, and just as I look over, as I'm about to like drive out the parking lot, I'm literally pulling out of my spot, and I see the main head security guy coming out to smoke a cigarette. I was like, whoop! And I pulled back into the parking lot, like
Yes.
and hopped out. And the guy's looking at me because he saw me get in the car and start to pull off, and then stop, and then he come back over here. He's like, what's up with this guy?
Right,
You know,
right.
and
Don't try and mug me, bro. I just want to point out, they say smoking's bad for you. Smoking just saved your life that day. I'm just joking.
I mean,
Smoking's terrible for you. Don't do it. That's a joke. It's just a joke, guys.
Saved some gas, I guess. I don't know.
You know how much that would have been. That's a pain, though. Don't you live far? Or, no, you're closer now that you moved, right? Because you're not all the way out where you used to be in the boonies.
It's still a decent drive.
Is it?
Still a half hour. Well, actually, without traffic and everything, it was dead. It wasn't
which
that
is one of the
bad, but
blessings of the
still.
Rona. So for me, we'll lightly touch on this. I don't want to get on it, but for me, one of the blessings at work of the Rona has been that we had no visitors. Obviously, I work in a hospital. So
No
like,
visitors at the hospital. Yeah.
yeah, which
That means there's no patients, right? Nobody in the hospital.
right? No, we have patience. But the nice thing was that we we were like, after like a week, we're like, why are we getting through our workday so stinking fast? And that's what we realized. We're like, oh, there's no family members here. Love you guys. Love all the family members out there. But they make your job so much harder because they have like a billion extra things that they need you to do, right? Because they're there and, they're finicky and they're trying to take care of a loved one. I'm glad they're there. If they're not there, these loved ones actually do worse that I've seen than when there is someone loving there taking care of them. It doesn't make my job easier, though. It actually makes my job a lot more work because you're running, you're doing this for their loved one slash, these extra little things that they think they need. And
Yeah.
then you're getting called to this room for something that honestly could have waited till you got there and you were on your way there, but not yet. Anyway, so it makes your day so much longer. And it was just so funny. We're like, man, that's like one of the best things to come out of this was that literally you could get
Right.
through the workday in a decent amount of time instead of, having to just barely get through it. Hey, it was funny. So, but now that they're opening up and stuff more, even though mandatory masks here, that they can stay longer and stuff. So now my work days are getting longer again. I don't get.
Getting back to
Yeah, I'm like,
kind of.
oh yeah, this is why. And again, it's important. They need to be there. It helps with the healing. But as with all things, it still makes your life harder. So
Pros and cons of everything. There's a
yeah.
pretty big pro there, but the con is,
Yeah, the con can be pretty stressful too. Well, and they're like, well, that's not that big, so you have to take more time. Yeah, but see, then the problem is other people think I'm not getting to their loved one, and their loved one's not getting attention because I'm getting called to this. You know what I mean? So then it boils over to a point where then they feel like
you just need to have more
it's tough.
employees, man.
Yeah,
Just
well,
more
that's a whole nother
people.
subject I
More
won't get
people.
into, but yeah, wow, yeah. Good luck with that in general. But yeah, life's funny lately. I don't even know where to begin. But I was jotting some
That
things
is,
down.
man.
Oh, what was I going to bring up? There was something else to it. It was super about your work.
I
I
don't know.
don't
I
even
think we're
remember.
bringing it up, and then I apparently started talking like a robot and just sidetracked the entire
Yeah, super
flow of
gone.
this.
It happened. It happens though. Oh, earlier though, I was saying I actually kind of I don't know. I've always toyed with the idea of doing some stand-up comedy and stuff. And I watch a lot of stand-up comedians, but there's also that show, Comedians in Cars with Getting Coffee. It's with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah. Yep.
And I watch it a lot, and he breaks down comedy and stuff. And I honestly, and I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, no doy. I had no idea. To me, the way stand-up comics get up there, I'm not going to lie, I thought the majority of that was off the cuff. Sure, I thought they had some jokes preloaded and whatnot, but I thought a lot of that was just witty banter and back and forth. But legitimately, at least I can speak for Jerry, 100% start to finish, pauses, how long they should be, sips of water, is all scripted. It's all 100%. He sits down and writes it out 100% how it wants to go. Now, don't get me wrong. He doesn't do it that exact way the first time and blow it, it's golden. They go around and they try it out in different clubs and they test
That's what
it
I
and they
like.
tune it and they cut their teeth on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I listen to a lot of the Joe Rogan podcasts, and he'll talk about doing stand up
He
and
does it
stuff.
a
And he
lot
talks
too,
about
which
it.
is neat. Yeah, he does the same thing.
Yeah,
Cuts his teeth.
he talks about like it being an art form and everything
Yeah,
like
it
that. And it's
is.
like you get a joke and you think it's funny and you write it down and you'll be like okay. And I think he's mentioned stuff like that, not necessarily like the sips of water and stuff like that, but I could see where that comes in. But he would say with the pauses and the inflections, and he'd be like, here's your joke, and you tell it. Maybe it won't be that funny, so you try to adjust it and you tell it again. It's a little bit better, and then you just like make a side comment, but that's more funny than the joke, so that little side comment becomes the joke, kind of thing like
Right?
that. And he
Right?
just like work. Yeah, he just sits there and you just work on it until it's done. And he's like, and then for him personally, I guess he just does that until he's got a really good set of jokes, and then he does like a special, and he tells them all, and then he starts all over again.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently, he
Yeah.
really likes going through that whole process. He also has another thing which I never really thought about. I always thought like I've kind of toyed with just not really necessarily the idea, but I've thought about like stand up comedy and stuff. Oh,
Yeah,
that'd
yeah,
be
me too.
interesting to try
Definitely.
or
Yeah.
to do and stuff. And I never really put that much thought into it. I thought it was just I didn't know it was like that much working on jokes and seeing how the audience reacts. I
Yeah,
thought it's
no,
just
me
you got
neither.
your jokes, you go up and you tell them, and that's it.
And
you know?
everybody has a great time. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
So
no, yeah. So for me, that was really eye opening because I think that's really neat because you think it's like something anybody could do or whatever, or also that not even necessarily that anyone could do, but also that maybe these people are just like these brilliant, like wow, how do they just come up with it? And some of the case they
yeah,
still are and they still do. There's times when they are just riffing, especially if they're like getting, whatever, a tease from the crowd or whatever, the hecklers or whatnot, that they do riff. But on the
yeah.
whole, a majority of the time, it's 100% scripted. And I just thought that was really neat and
Interesting, and yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. And then
interesting. Also, but also,
for
what the
him,
talent I think is to make it come off as it is, as if it is off the cuff and natural, as
that's probably
opposed to
actually I never really put those two and two together, but that's probably why a lot of comics make such good actors, is because the whole stand-up bit is literally
right
just them acting
acting.
out
Right, that's all it
the
is.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. Because I always thought, again, I always thought it was just here's the jokes, I'll go and tell them, but I didn't know it was so like whatever. And I
Yeah, no, yeah,
remember
me neither.
just Joe Rogan, he was talking to some random guest he had on his podcast who said they were thinking about maybe toying with stand up. And he gave what I think is probably some of the best advice for like starting stand up and stuff.
Hmm.
Because he set expectations. He's like, yeah, you just do the jokes and you find some open mic night or whatever. You sign up for that. You go up there, you tell your
Oh yeah,
jokes.
I know what you're saying. I heard this. Go ahead. Hmm.
He's like, and you're gonna suck,
Yep.
and everybody's gonna hate you, but that's okay because everybody sucks in the beginning,
Yep.
And then you just work on it. And I was
It's
like,
true.
that's really interesting because again, I don't really think about it that much. I figure people just go out there and they either just nail it and they're good or they're not, and you never hear from them. But I never thought of it as like, oh yeah, you go up there and you're nervous because you're gonna be bad, and just go into it like, yeah, you're gonna be bad. That's you just have to go through the process of sucking for a while until you work on it and get better.
Plus, the
Just
thing
like
is,
anything else.
the uniqueness though of the audience is that they literally could do it every single night and never or I would say 97% of the time never see the same audience or person in the audience again. You know what I mean? So for you, you're just honing it every day. You're working on it. And
Yeah.
whereas, you know what I mean? Versus, okay, honey, is it funny this time? Okay, honey, how about now? You know what I mean? Like, no, you're going to get a fresh new batch. They have no idea what's coming. They have no idea. And I think that's kind of a unique atmosphere about it as well. It's really neat. I mean, basically, they're saying freely experiment on a new group every single day. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a rare thing in life. You
Right.
don't normally get that. So it's kind of
I
a
never thought about it. That's interesting too because like if you're trying to tell a joke to somebody, I don't care how good you make that joke after like the third or fourth time, they're just gonna be like, yeah, well, I guess it's funny. I don't
right,
know.
right. Like, yeah,
Like
no, it's all lost humor at that point. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which is again why it goes back to honesty and speaks to how awesome these comedians are, the ones that do keep retelling their bits and keep reusing their jokes. Because how the heck can they tell it with the same wit, charm, and humor to make it funny each time they tell it? Now, a lot of stand-up comedians don't repeat their jokes, but a lot do. So just the fact that you can take a
Jay
joke that
Leno.
you've told 32 times, yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, but we talked about that because he always wants to know where his jokes are, so he doesn't have any of them recorded and down. Because I think basically what he really means is he just wants to repeat the same joke over and over. But I
For
love
like
Jay Leno.
30, 40 years or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
well,
Yeah.
that's fine. He can do whatever he wants. That's fine. You know what? He's Jay Leno, man. He's filthy rich. He can do what he wants. I don't care. He's a good guy anyway. He's on Last Man Standing, by the way. The last few seasons, like as a regular, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty funny. Um,
Well, he was on freaking Home Improvement too a few times as a guest,
no,
not
I
really
don't mean
like.
as. I mean he literally works in the store with Tim Allen. Like he's like got a role on the show, which is really funny
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just unique for Jay Leno, you know what I mean? Anyway, but so yeah, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
whoever saw Jay Leno on TV? Geez.
No, on a sitcom acting, like that's really unique, I think. It's pretty funny.
It's probably because the Tonight Show just took up so much of his time. He didn't have time to.
And the
keep
truth
the
is he
accent going or
sounds.
whatever.
Maybe I'm reading him wrong, but he sounds not necessarily bitter, but just like he really didn't enjoy any of it. Honestly, that's how it comes across. I'm not trying to be mean, but he always sells it as though like you can't really tell the jokes you want. You have to tell the jokes they joke. You can't really have conversations with people. You just have to, get the plug in for whatever that person's selling, because all you are is a giant
Yeah.
commercial. And like I'm not saying he's jaded or he doesn't like it, and I'm not saying that he's not grateful, because obviously he is and he loved it and his time there was good. But he said that he just wasn't the comedian that he wanted to be, because it's not really what that's about. And he says it's not really the forum for a comedian, honestly, even though you tell jokes for a living. I thought it was an interesting inside look. But he's not also crapping all over his, upcomings and saying I hate all of it. You know what I mean? He recognizes it, but he's telling you the flaws too. So.
That's interesting. He would be like, "Oh, that's not the work for a comedian." I would.
And he may not have said it exactly like that. Again, all that I just said, I think I even said in the beginning. I'm paraphrasing. That's my takeaway, and you need to watch it for yourselves and see if that's the takeaway you get. But that's how it came across to me. And those are, he said close to those things, but mine's not verbatim. So again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's still that.
Whatever,
For me, that's how it felt. It was coming across. Yeah, I just didn't want to put words in his mouth in case someone comes back like, actually, he said, yeah, okay, I'm not quoting him. I'm not quoting him.
He said he thought it wasn't good for
himself as a comedian, right? Whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying.
right. Totally different thing.
Right. I'm not saying that's what he said. I'm just saying that's the overall feel of what he said. I'm going to drink some water.
Yeah, I don't have any water here to drink, so.
Oh, I always do.
Try.
I drink tons of water. It's a constant thing. Yeah, as such, I've been kind of working some jokes, is why I was setting all this up. That's because I was kind of working some jokes.
Work some jokes on the podcast and see what our audience. No.
So this one I didn't write it out. It's just a gist, so I'm still not doing it. But it was kind of funny.
I have a skit. In my head.
Yeah.
Not a skit, but I have a set of jokes. I don't know. There's different types of comedians. They tell a story and it's funny and that's the joke. There's some that just tell regular jokes. And I have this setup. It's not a story. It's not a joke, but just this setup that I think would be funny. And I was thinking maybe I should flesh that idea out. Really write it down and see.
Yeah, exactly, and just kind of flesh it out. Yeah. So like I said, I think one day I might actually put together a thing and try it, because I know I've got an open mic night around here and a couple of these places and stuff. Might be kind of fun. But it was funny because I noticed a lot of my favorite jokes and or stand-up comedians really pull from their life or stuff about them, and I like that. And I don't mean necessarily the Seinfeld way with what's with airplanes, you know what I mean? But just part of their lives or whatnot.
Tell a story of their life or whatever and make it as
funny
as possible.
Right. Which is hilarious. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, man, that's kind of it's a type of humor I relate to for me, because I want something, I want something that's relatable as to my life, but humorous as well. And it's funny because my wife, she does the shopping. She loves doing the grocery shopping. She really enjoys it. It's something she looks forward to doing. And so for me, it's always kind of funny because I can tell when my kids start wasting certain types of food because it'll start out a regular size, right? Like corn dogs, right? It starts out a corn dog, and then after a few weeks, I start noticing all we have in the fridge are mini corn dogs. Because I'm like, man, I'm gonna go get me a corn dog, and it turns out it's a mini corn dog. All of a sudden, that's all she's buying is mini corn dogs. Same thing. We go from pizzas, right, to these mini pizzas, and I already know. From her buying pattern, I know what's going on. They're wasting the corn dog. They're wasting the corn dog. So she buys a mini one, and they eat it. It's funny though.
I think you might be onto something there. I think
you
might be onto something.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Because I notice. I notice. I can't think of too many specifics, but bottles of water. My girl likes to have bottled water. She prefers bottled water.
Sure.
And so the kids will drink. That's the only way they'll drink water, if it's out of a bottle. And we notice. It was for the longest time. It'd be they'll drink a little bit of water, a couple of sips, put the bottle down, put it wherever, and then you have these random bottles. You're like, whose water? And you never know whose it is.
Right.
It's just annoying. And we ended up getting little smaller bottles of water, So
right.
The same thing.
Exactly. It's hilarious though, because you can just tell. I'm like, they've been wasting corn dogs, because there's the minis.
Yeah,
it's funny. It just made me laugh. I was thinking about that. And I was like, it's so they go in buying arcs. That's how that works. But yeah, so then I can tell because I'm not always home or whatever. But then I can tell which foods they're actually eating and which ones they start wasting. It's like I'm part of it. No.
She comes back with like the mega large corn dogs. You're like, really, babe? The mega large?
Like they've been eating 4 of them. All right, fine. That's how it goes back up. See, like I said, we start with a family-sized pizza, then it gets a personal pizza, and then it's pizza pockets. I'm like, all right, obviously they're wasting a lot of pizza. I get it. It's fine. So I don't think it gets smaller than that. I think that's as low as you go. I think after that it's just a dollop of spaghetti sauce. Bloop, there you go. There's your pizza on a crouton.
Pizza bagel, man.
No, even that's too big. So you just bloop, a crouton with.
Well, you got to start. You got the pizza bagel. Be like, here you go. This is for both of you. We're gonna cut it in half.
Exactly.
You slice the pizza bagel like it slices a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's funny. And then along the same lines, thinking about kids, I was thinking about because I posted that thing on my Facebook or whatever about I was talking to my 5-year-old and I said, well, what time did you wake up today? And she was like, I don't know. I don't speak time. It's just like it's so funny and it tickles me. But then I was thinking like I find like I don't internally, and you don't necessarily know it, but lots of times you find kids annoying or dumb in shows, movies, TV, anytime they're portrayed in cinema, in film, and entertainment. And I realized it's because it's adults trying to write a kid. An adult is never going to say anything like, I don't speak time. That's not something an adult's even going to necessarily come up with. And so, because it's these little kids trying to say adult things that are trying to be kids, so many times it comes off so cheesy, forced, fake, terrible, and you find them annoying, and you never really know why. And I just started to realize that's why. That's why. It's an adult trying to write as a kid with a kid saying what an adult thinks a kid would say, and so it comes off terrible a lot of times. And I think that's what separates it. It just kind of struck me.
I've noticed that, like, now that I have kids and stuff,
Right.
I'll like, watch, not necessarily that specifically, but I've noticed with, like, kid shows and stuff. When I watch kid shows,
Yeah.
I'm like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, some of them are good, some are like whatever. But I'm like, I don't think I could sit down and come up with a show for kids. I don't know, man. I'd be like,
maybe.
And they like the weirdest stuff, like the
Some of it.
weirdest
Oh
stuff.
yeah, like larva and crap. God, I hate that show. My kids loved it. Ugh, so terrible. But my other
Man,
thing was
Larva's
is,
awesome.
you're the worst. Is what's kind of sad though sometimes because I like watch like My Little Pony because my girls obviously are super into it. No, I'm not a brony. I mean, if you're a brony, you do you, but I'm not. But I watch it with
I'm
my.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Don't
I'm
even.
not gonna
I'm
lie.
gonna punch you.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Okay.
When I was in my, how long has that been now? When I was in my 20s or whatever,
Yeah.
I heard about bronies, and I was like, "What's a brony?" And they're like this new My Little Pony. Guys like to watch it, and I listened to somebody talking about it, but like, yeah, it's a kid show, but it's got these values and all this stuff that's really good for adults too. It's really good. I was like, you know what, man? Cartoons for adults, they can be pretty cool, man. A cartoon, watching it as an adult.
Sure.
This is when I was probably watching. There's a
Adventure
period
Time.
of my life. No, there's a period of my life where I watched like not kid shows, but like more family-friendly shows, and I just really liked those.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
As an adult,
Sure.
I was like, that's what I preferred.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think a lot of adults prefer that. That's not that strange of a thing. Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me try out one of these little My Little Pony shows. Let me see what these guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I started to watch one, and I
Okay.
was like, I'm not getting it. I don't know. This just seems like a
totally
little girl
a show for little girls. That's because that's what it is.
I kept on watching. And I was like, I don't see anything for adults in this show. I couldn't get through an entire episode, man. I was just like, this.
Agreed. The only way I can get there is with my kids, and it's fine. It's just, I don't see it. I don't get it. And you know what? I can go back and watch Rescue Rangers and still go, you know what? I can watch Rescue Rangers or Tailspin. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I'm not trying to say I want to start a club and go to galas about it, but I can enjoy watching it, but I'm not trying to start a club with it. But yeah, I don't know. But what I was getting to was watching that with my girls. I feel bad sometimes too because there is a lot of creativity that goes. Man, there's like songs in so many of the episodes. Somebody has to sit down and write these songs that fit in the story and sound somewhat good, catchy. Put it together, all to throw it on this cartoon that nobody's gonna ever know about. Like, I don't know. What's that feel like? I guess as an artist creating that, and just, I mean, where do they keep coming up with talent to pump these things out?
I think there's a lot of people who try to make songs and they view making a song for a kid's show as like maybe a stepping stone into getting somewhere bigger, like being
Okay.
able to be
So you
seen
think
or
it's just
known for
lots of
something
people that
else.
are just lining up to write the? I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm asking very seriously to line up and write a song for
I don't know
whatever.
whether they're sitting there and lining up to write songs, but I think if you reach out and you be like, "Hey, I want to write a show for this, a song for this kids show," then a lot of people will respond to that and be like, "Yeah, man, I'll try to do that."
Okay.
Also, I think when we're talking about artists and art,
Mhm.
uh, the starving artists is a cliche for a reason. I don't think they get necessarily a lot of work. I think there's a lot of people that are trying to get into that business,
Yeah. Sure.
to be able to make music. So when they see anything, even if it's a kid show that's gonna pay crap, they're like, you know what, I'll do it because it'll give me some money, and I'm not really making too much on this anybody
So
else. I'll put my
basically,
creativity into it, and hopefully
studios.
that'll get my name out there for other people to a little bit of exposure. I
So
don't.
studios and the execs are basically interning these people just like the corporate America does, which is make people work for free for their gain or close to free, and
Probably, yeah, man.
in hopes of somehow reaching some level of you know importance.
It's probably, yeah, yeah.
I love
I
how
think
often that
that's what
happens in
that
life.
is.
It's so funny. There's so much of that in life. But anyway, yeah, that's hilarious to me. Okay, you might be right. That's interesting. I like. That's why we have these conversations. I like different takes on this. Because I
Oh, very
literally
much.
watched it and I was just like, because one of them was legit decent song, but so cheesy the lyrics, and it was about the stupid show, and I was like, but that's decently solid.
That
That's
was,
really sad. Like for me, I was saddened by it. I was like, that's a shame. It should have been more than that or something. I don't know. So I just thought about that. Found that peculiar and sad
yeah,
sometimes.
no. I think
Or
that
it doesn't even have
what
to
you
be a
listened
kids
to was the
show,
one
but
guy that
yeah.
the, there was the one guy that was like, I'm just doing this for a paycheck. Put some stuff together. I mean, it kind of sounds like a song or whatever. You
Right.
know?
Right. Nah, I don't know, man. Maybe. Yeah, it's things that strike you when you're hanging out with your kiddos. It's also funny how much our lives, how it literally you literally have like new lingo, new lifestyle, new patterns, and then just talking with another adult parent, they don't have to explain anything. There's this weird unspoken, right? Like, okay, bro, pre your kid, you knew jack all and cared jack all about kids. Let's be honest, bro. I mean, like, legit, bro, legit. Like, you weren't rushing to go have a family. You weren't like, kids are my number one priority in life. I know everything about them, right? Like, that wasn't a thing. And then, like, we have kids, and like, we literally could just be like, I literally could just start saying three things, and you're like, yep. Oh, I know.
Yeah, this is a very like connecting experience. So, yeah, I mean, I've always wanted a kid, but like I've never really sat there and been like, we got to do this thing like now.
Right. It was something that was going to happen, but you weren't rushing towards anything, sprinting in
Uh,
great hopes of this magnitude and wonderful day. It was just, it was going to happen. My whole point is,
the
it's weird how it unites, and yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, no, it definitely unites, and I think it divides a little bit between people who don't have kids and people who do have kids. The
Agreed.
biggest, honestly, the biggest thing, the biggest surprise for me from having a kid is how much stuff like I thought I knew
Right.
before having a kid. Like I'd be like, oh yeah, my kid's never gonna blah 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 blah, blah.
Oh, my
Or
favorite line.
I'm never gonna blah blah blah, or like you see just like you go out to eat or something, you see some kid that's just annoying and doing something stupid. Like, oh, why do they even bring their kids here? Like that kind of thought. Not that I
Yeah.
specifically remember thinking
No,
anything like
well,
that, but
to be fair, so you don't sound like such a bad guy, that's literally an episode of Sex in the City where they're trying to get kids kicked out of restaurants and they can't figure out why you would
right?
ever bring it in there. So you're not being a jerk. Like, that's legit an
I,
episode
I
on a
never
sitcom. So.
I never really thought like, why would you bring a kid to
No, I
see
know
this
you
film?
weren't
But it's
saying that. I know. I'm just
more
saying
like the
that
kid
is an
would be like
episode.
doing something, or like maybe the parent would start yelling at the kid in public. I'd be like, "Oh
And
my
you're like,
god!"
stop! You're so embarrassing! But you don't realize that's the 80th time that day that they told him to do that, and the kid's not listening, and the only way they're going to stop doing
The
it
funny,
is with a raised voice. You know it's going to snap them back into obedience, and so you
the
do it.
funny thing is, the funny thing is now when I go somewhere and somebody yells at a kid in public, I'm like, oh man, I feel so much more relaxed now. I feel better about when I yell at my kids
Right?
because I know everybody does it.
Plus, no. Plus, sometimes you kind of want to give them a thumbs up because you don't necessarily have your kids with you. You just want to let them know, bro,
That happens.
solidarity. Like you almost want to raise a fist. That should almost be like a. I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody, but yeah, you know what I mean. Just like a boop. I'm with you. Like, I got you.
Right?
I got you. I see you.
Sometimes, yeah, I'll see somebody like yelling at their kid, dealing with their kid or whatever, and they look at like I can tell they kind of feel like embarrassed or
And
something.
you're like,
And I just look like,
nah.
it's cool. I
No,
get it.
got you.
I got
Right.
kids too.
Yep.
That happened one time at a store we went to, like the dollar store or something. We had like all three of our kids there, and they're just running around, and they like, oh yeah, I like this toy or whatever. We're like, okay, you get like one toy or whatever, you pick whatever you want out of
Excuse
the
me.
store,
Hmm.
whatever it was. And they're running around. There's like this lady there, and they like run into her and hit her and run off. I'm like, guys, you gotta say sorry. Excuse me, what's going on? And I look at her and she just looks back. She's like, it's cool. I got kids.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, ah, okay.
Yeah, those are my
You know?
those are my favorite. I've had an experience, not necessarily that, but along those lines when something just slightly embarrassing, and they're like, "No, it's cool, don't worry about it,"
Yeah.
and they literally make you feel at ease. Like, no, they literally, you could tell they literally mean. It's not one of those, "Oh, don't worry about it. I can't believe your kid just touched me" type things. It's one of those, "Bro, don't worry about it," and you're like,
This is just
"Thanks, fam."
right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I got you. It's good. It's good times.
Like
Ah,
your kid hits them and they look at you and they're like, don't worry, I still got hit 900,000 times less going here than staying at home, you know?
right.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice when that happens. It helps, I think.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting how it's a unifying thing like that, and also it is eye-opening, and it just awakens you to lots of things. And then there's the one kid versus multi kids too, because that's a new jump too. Like you think you got it figured out, like I did with one, and then I have two, and I think I got it maybe figured out, and you're like, bro, you don't even know. I've got three. Like, forget anything you
It's
know.
true, man. It's
Forget
true. I
anything you know.
started.
Oh my
So
god.
she had two kids when I met. I started with two kids. I
Right.
went from two to three,
That
man.
was like my dad.
But yeah,
But yeah.
I
Hmm.
yeah I thought like yeah, two kids, whatever. Three is just gonna be like the same as two.
Right.
Like the jump from two to three for me is like mind blowing. Like now having three kids is what I'm used to. If I get like one of the kids goes to like their grandma's house or something like that, it's just so much more chill
You're
and
like
relaxed. I'm like, ah,
manageable.
only two.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, the easy work today. This should be a quite relaxing day. Which to
Yeah,
anybody else
yeah.
is like, oh my gosh, two kids. Ah. And you're like, oh, it's
I'm
an easy
so
day, is it?
yeah, man. I'm so far in like having no kids for an extended period of time is kind of like
So that's the
you
other weird
know
thing
what's
about
going
that.
on.
No, I know. Me and my wife talk about this all the time. First of all, we rarely ever get away from our kids. We don't live necessarily by family that can watch them. It's just not an option.
Yeah,
And I don't
it's
trust a
not
lot of
very common
people.
that I.
So, no,
It's
same
not
with
very
you.
common for me either. So
Right. So that's what it is. So, we'll finally get somebody or whatever to watch the kids on the random times that we get out. It's probably happened, 6 or 7 times ever, period. And, my oldest is 8. Um, but you get out and you're like halfway into whatever you had planned and you're like, miss the kids. You're like,
right, yeah.
I hope they're
That's
okay.
honest.
Are they having
So
a good
yeah, I
time?
said the biggest. Yeah,
Stupid.
so I said the biggest change is like the switch between like, oh, I would never, and then whatever. The second probably biggest, the other really thing is like I never understood without having kids like why are people um like they can't stand their kids, they want to get away from them, and then they leave, and then they're like 10 minutes later, like, oh man, I miss my kids. Like,
Right?
what the heck are you talking about? They were just driving me crazy. Like, you
Right?
should be like, woo! And then, like, it happened to me the
I
one time,
know,
and I
and
was
it's
like,
so weird. You're like,
weird.
what? Or not even necessarily that you miss them, but like you said, they'll just be gone, and you're like, I don't. What do I do?
Yeah. And
What
it's like, yo, I'm used to being like
what do
just a single dude for how many years?
your entire
I'm more
life,
comfortable
right?
yeah, with nobody around. I have no issues with being alone. But now it's just,
Now you're like, what?
what?
What's this? What
I don't know what to
do I
do with myself.
do
Can
something?
I just can I just do whatever I want right now?
But then,
That's
but
like,
even when you start to
okay.
relax, you're just like, but still, it seems like I should be. Is there? No, I guess
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
not. Like, I don't know. It's hilarious, man. It's weird. It's weird.
yeah.
Changes.
And then, uh, so there's a couple other things that I had new perspective on. I
Okay.
remember, okay, so specifically, like two things. I don't think I, anyway, the one time when you came over to like my house or whatever, remember you came over for like a wedding
Yes.
and you were there or whatever,
Yes.
and you were chilling and like we're just whatever, just acting normal, and then you went home and I think you said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, I want to get back to my kid, I miss her and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for me, internally, I had like this weird like thought process. Like that's weird. Like I wonder how much you actually like really miss. Like I'm not questioning that you didn't or
No.
anything like that,
Right.
but it's just like it was a weird thing because it's like okay, we hung out, we went like 2 3 days. You never even mentioned like your kid at all, and then just out of nowhere, like oh yeah, I miss her. I want to get back. That's just like a weird thing for me to like process in my mind.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then, um, and you also mentioned. Uh, Breaking Bad, how like the end of that
Mm-hmm.
show for you having a kid, it was rough when he was like saying goodbye to his daughter or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I felt that was kind of weird because he has this emotional thing with the kid, but he didn't really seem like that connected to the kid throughout the show to me. Like it's just you didn't really talk about her much, didn't really interact with her much, and then out of nowhere, it's just like this heartfelt thing. It's weird. And then I had kids, and then like it all
Right.
makes sense to me now.
Yeah. I know.
I'm like,
It's
oh right, right. They weren't talking about their kids all the time because they always deal with their kids. So when you get away from them, it's nice to like
not
whatever, but they're
talk about
still
them,
there
and you're
in
still
your mind,
missing
man.
them, and you're still thinking about them. Yeah. It's just that's not what
And
you're gonna
then
fill your away time with.
yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, that just makes so much perfect. I get it now.
Yeah.
And then like
Exactly.
I started to watch like Karina. I mean, Svetlana was watching Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She
Breaking
was
Bad.
she had never seen it, so she was watching it,
Yeah.
and I would just watch like a couple parts like here and there. Oh yeah, this episode, whatever. And I was watching. I was like, I watched one episode, and he'd have his daughter, and he'd pick her up and be like, "Hey, I want to show you something that I never showed anybody. I can't tell anybody about." And he showed her like this stack of money. He's like, "Oh, here you go." He's playing. I was like, you know what? He did like he did a lot more stuff with that like his daughter than I remember him doing. Like
Yeah.
when before I had kids, like it
Right.
stood out more to me. And I was like, no, he really did like do all this stuff. I was like, that's the kind of thing that it makes sense now because
Well,
again,
yeah, yeah, and the other thing along those exact same lines, and you're saying with that, but I've always thought about like in real life these actual terrible monsters that have this adulting love for their kids. And you're like, how can you when you easily just mass murdered an entire group of people? Like it makes no sense. But then it's weird because you have kids, and obviously I'm not saying I'm some giant mass eviler, but I deal with some very hard, dark, evil stuff sometimes at work. It's not always the easiest job in the world, and it's so weird. Even when you have all that negative and you feel like a terrible person, you come home and you just hold your kid, and something about just your kid just takes that all away, and you don't feel like you're that person or that happened, and all of a sudden you're just her dad, and it's
it's
weird.
like a
It's like
two different worlds
yeah, it's
kind of
like a
thing,
different
right?
world. It's super weird. It's like that world disappears, fades away, and right now it's literally just my kid. And I never understood that watching movies with mafioso and all these things and this amazing love and compassion they'd show for their wife, for their kid. And these are not wives because they're a-holes and cheat, but for their kids and stuff. And
Right,
you're
right.
just like, it just doesn't make sense. And then you have kids and you're like, yeah, no, they literally transport you to where you're not
You're
who
like
you
checks
are.
out. Yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, checks out. Good call. Good call. But it's
Yeah.
weird though, because it's just something I don't know. It's just not. It's nothing I would have ever been able to understand or relate to until I had a kid. Like, oh, okay, I guess I could see how that can be, and how he can still be. Someone could say someone that evil is a good dad because they still can be. Not that I'm saying I'm
Right.
evil,
That's
but you still can be. It's weird. It's
so weird.
weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. You literally could be pure evil and still
Which
somehow have real compassion and love for the human that's your child and not
on the
teach them the malice. It's weird.
on the other side of things, like the complete reverse is when you hear about like people doing like horrible things to their own kids. Like before I
I
had
can
kids, I'd
barely
be
even
like,
talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah, yeah. Before kids, I'd be like, oh yeah, they're horrible people. They suck.
Yeah.
But now that I have kids, I'd be like, how is that even
How?
like
No,
possible? Like
yeah. How
what?
do you even, for a second, even entertain that in your mind, and let alone commit the? I don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's
it's
like,
one of the most
oh
depressing,
god.
hardest things in the entire world for me. That I don't even want to get into because it's super
R-
depressing. So yeah, but yeah, yeah, it's a huge drag for
Glad
me.
I could bring it down for us. Just
Right. Right. I was talking about how love conquers evil, and you're like, yeah, but evil. Let me tell you about evil.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but yeah, it's true though. It's true though. It's weird how things. Well, because like to take it back a little bit less dark, but my dad was always that way. Like growing up, he could never watch shows that had child endangerment. He's like, I can't stand it. I don't want to watch it. I'm like, what?
Right.
You're such a wimp. Shut up. Like it never bothered me, right? Like I honestly wasn't saying my dad was
Yeah,
a wimp. I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that now for humor's sake. And then I had kids, and honestly, same thing, man. When I'm watching certain shows, like, and the kids, and it's like kids are put in mortal danger, or they got a gun to a kid's head, or
Like
any of
suddenly,
that,
yeah,
it
yeah.
pisses me off, and I'm not okay. It really deeply
Suddenly it makes
bothers me.
sense like why so many horror movies have kids and stuff in them because it's
Right,
like that much more frightening.
right, right. It's
Maybe not
terrible.
frightening, but like yeah, disturbing and stuff.
Yeah, you just
Yeah, it's
can't
just
handle. Yeah, no, so it's so weird because I was like, oh, that's what Dad was always getting at. Because like, yeah, like I was going to literally name a movie. Oh, Kindergarten Cop. Like my dad, didn't want us to see that for a long time when we were growing up, and he just thought it was
yeah.
so awful the way that his own dad puts a gun to his head, and he said he thought if we saw that we'd be terrified. I watched the show a million times as a kid. That scene never bothered me. As an adult, I'm like. I'm
Right.
not kidding. I was like, "What is that? You can't do that." It's oh my what? And I'm like, I see what my dad meant, but as a kid, I didn't care. It didn't bother me. I wasn't like, "Whoa, look at that evil dad." I was just like, "No, that's just a bad guy." He wasn't his dad for me. He was just a
That's a
bad
bad guy.
guy.
He's doing bad guy
Right.
things.
He wasn't a
Yeah.
dad. But yeah, as a parent, you're like, "Oh my life, no." So it's weird. It's weird. It's so perspective is everything, man.
It crazy, right?
I mean, it really is. Perspective is everything, and it can literally just flip you on your head. And that's why I hate, again, not getting bogged down into the all of it, but that's why I hate this world where we have terms like flip-flopper and we use them all the time in the political ring and other places
Was it
because
I don't know if I
that's
was listening to a podcast or was it you that was talking about how that's such a weird thing, flip flopper.
it
Like
bothers
you make
me.
up your
It might
mind
have
and you
been
just
me.
have to.
Right, that's it
No, I
forever.
think
Maybe Joe
no.
Rogan
Well,
talks
maybe
about it too. I don't know because it seems like something Joe
I
Rogan
think
would
it might
say
have been
too.
him. Maybe not. I don't know. It might have been some video. I don't know. But it was like basically that's such a weird term, a flip flopper. Like
No, it's
okay, so you have a
always bothered
stance
me.
on
Right.
something, and then you take in some more information, you learn
Nope.
more about it, and you
Nope.
realize,
Refuse to change
oh
it.
no, I need to change
Nope.
my stance.
I
And
can't. I don't
now
want
you're
to
a flip
flop.
flopper because
I don't want to
you
flip
had
flop. Right. It
you
makes
had
no
an open
sense.
mind to change
Right.
like what
No.
you thought about something.
Right. No,
So
yeah. It's the big. It drives me nuts in this world. Again, perspective, knowledge, and information can 100% change that. And why can't we say, oh, yeah, they. No, you're like, you either say they're
I
doing it for
think
political reasons or they're a flip flopper. Why couldn't they have just been now better informed? I.
right.
I don't understand that.
I think it's just a term people use to make you not like a person. It doesn't
Again,
even
no,
matter what
again,
it
it's
is.
literally
They
yeah,
got
no,
nothing
it's
else. They'd
yeah.
be like, oh, I don't like them, so we'll just call him a name.
They're
I think
I
I don't
know.
want to get into politics
No,
at
no, I'm
all
not
here, but I
either.
think that's why a lot of people throw around the racist term a lot. It's
Uh,
just like let's just
right.
credit them.
It's called ad hominem attacks, and it's stupid that anyone listens to them because it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. But I'm just saying, I just think we live in a dumb world where you never want to be able to change course, but you expect everyone to change course. Wait, what? You can't be both. Either you want people to believe and follow your global warming, or you don't. And again, I'm not trying to get into it, but I'm just saying. So then you can't be mad at someone who is anti-global warming, right? And then they say, "Oh
You're a
my gosh, you convinced me. You're right. There is global warming." Oh, you're a flopper. What?
No, it's a flip flopper when they believe in what you believe in, and then they switch to something else.
Right,
But when they
right.
believed in something else, and then they switch to what you believe in, you're like, finally, now
A
you see the
believer.
light.
Right, right, right. Oh, you're intelligent. You get it now. I know. Yeah, no, I know.
Right.
No, it makes no sense. It's just a weird world where we live in. In literally in nature within our own bodies, every 7 years, every single cell in your body has been regenerated and is anew. So, if we're literally molecularly different every 7 years, then what? I think nobody should have to be forced to stuck to a certain ideal thought You know what I mean? Like it just why
You're trying
nothing.
to make me go down the political route in
No,
this
no, 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 no,
podcast,
no,
man.
no,
I
no,
want
no,
you to
no, no, no. I'm
stay
keeping
away.
this
I got
broad. No, this
comments.
is
I
above
got
board on
comments.
everything. No, this is above board on everything. This is above board on everything. If I say bottled water
I
is stupid and a waste of money, and then you
I
change my mind and show me how it's a
I
great
thought about it.
invention, there's
I
you know.
thought about it the other day. I thought about it the other day with ah, man, Statue of Limitations.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd be like, yo, so, and I looked it up. I was curious, and most crimes and everything after 5 years they just forget about it, except for the major ones like murder and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and I was like, so if like our law can just forget about stuff after you did that 5 years ago, whatever, it's who cares anymore. Whatever the crime is, unless it's something big, we can just forget about it. So that's 5 years. But oh my God, like 10 years ago, you had this idea, you can't change that, you're stuck to it, you're cemented down to this thing. So it's like
Forever.
you're stuck to ideas you had like 10 years ago, but like actual crimes you might have committed 6 years ago. Yeah, that's totally fine. We're gonna
Crime,
go with that,
crime,
you know?
schmime. What are you talking about? But you wrote once. While on Ambien, no. Yeah.
Right.
No, I know, man. It's a
Which
weird
actually,
one.
stories, you mentioned Ambien. Stories I've heard about Ambien make me like a little
I've
weary about that.
Oh,
That
you should
drug,
never
man. I
take
don't.
it. We have video. We used to watch it of a roommate of ours. He literally went outside naked and laid down in the snow and was out there just tripping just from Ambien, dude. It was crazy. Had no recollection
Well,
of it. We showed them
apparently,
the video in the morning because they didn't believe us. So yeah,
apparently, when you take Ambien, you just like. Well, first of all, you don't remember what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You have no control over what you're doing. Those are the
correct.
kind of drugs that like scare me the most. Once that you take that, you have
Absolutely,
no control over what you're doing. Like, what
absolutely.
the heck is that, man? How is
Why
that
would that
legal?
ever be legal anywhere? They worry about people,
Apparently,
doing street drugs, but that sounds way more dangerous.
yeah, and I've heard about certain drugs that are illegal, where if you take it, you're still in the same presence of mind. Like you're
Sure.
still the same person. You know exactly everything you're doing. Kind of like even alcohol, you change a little bit. But anyway, um, yeah, that's just a weird thing that something like that can be legal. And I'm like,
Right.
I gotta stay away from that. I heard
Oh
what
yeah.
happens is when you take that, it just eliminates your um,
Yeah. Yep. I knew exactly the word you wanted when you went to say it. Inhibitors.
yeah,
Basically, your inhibitor.
yeah,
Anything that would make you go,
yeah.
stop, don't
So
do that. You just do whatever
anything that
pops
pops
into
into your
your
mind,
head.
you
Yep.
just do it.
You have
And
no
I'll be like, I
filter.
don't know. I have some pretty crazy stuff pop into my mind just randomly sometimes because I'm like a weirdo.
Yeah, it's
Not
because
anything
you're
I would do
creative
it.
and writing and all that other stuff and
Uh,
movies and talents, and it makes weird
I'll be
things pop
like,
into your head. Yeah, absolutely. It's called creativity. Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah. So like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that kind of like. I stay away from it.
Did I mention that
It's
before
like,
about, they talk about string theory and somebody mentioned that they thought that every single thought you had wasn't necessarily a thought, but it was literally that played out in another universe. I was
yeah, I
like,
think you mentioned it even on a older podcast I
it's
think.
just such a fun, unique idea to me. I love that idea. I don't know that I love it. I might
That's a
hate it too.
scary one, man. I think I'd be like a crazy dude in one of those worlds. I'd be like,
Yeah, but it's not your fault. You're not there. You're not that one in here, so what does it matter? It's kind of cool to think about too. I don't know. That stuff blows my mind. I love that idea. Not blows my mind. It's not even that. I'm not like, whoa.
I
I'm just like,
just
man, it's really fun to think about. It's just a fun exercise. I enjoy it.
yeah, it's fun, I guess. Yeah, but I never bought into the infinite universes idea, man.
Well, even people that do believe in string theory and the possibility of multiverse don't believe in infinite. They all believe that it is a finite amount, but none of them want to name what that finite amount is. At least, not all of them.
It would be
A
hard
lot of them.
to judge. Yeah.
Right.
So when it comes to like numbers like that, I realize
If you watch that Vsauce,
there's some
if you're
large
gonna get into
numbers.
that, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yep.
Vsauce thing,
Yep.
and yeah, like I always go back to that in my head sometimes. Like, yeah, a CD has just ones and zeros, so it's just a very finite number on that thing. You can only,
Ah, I lost you. You can only
it's
get.
not infinite. Then yeah, if you take in that video, he talks about like take a 5 minute recording. He's like, in that 5 minutes, you can have any 5 minute conversation that's happened, that's
Yeah.
ever will happen,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
ones that have actually happened, ones that haven't happened, one like theoretical one. I'm like, huh? Any like anything, just
Yeah.
boom into that Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
literally an infinite number of conversations that could happen, but it's in a finite number, so it's not really an infinite number of conversations that could happen. Like it's
Correct.
just a mind blowing thing, man. It's like you would think it's infinite, but it's just such a large number. It's not, but it might as well be. You know,
Yep,
like
exactly. It's one of those where you could start counting now until the day you die and you'd never reach it, but it's not infinite, but it's
they
not.
also talk about like infinity isn't a number, and there's different like
Yeah, I love that
uh,
Vsauce video. That was such a good. I almost need
processes.
to watch it again.
Is
His
that the one
videos are
where
so chock full of information. You could literally watch them probably every day and still
it's
learn something new.
I still like his older ones. Yeah,
No, that's
he's
what
a
I'm talking about,
little
his old stuff. I
weird in
haven't
the new
watched
ones.
anything since he switched to Red and then came back. I haven't paid attention to him. As soon as he switched to Red, I stopped watching Michael. No offense, bud. It
He
just
had
wasn't for me.
another. He had another video, another channel that's kind of interesting. It's kind of more along the lines of his older videos, but not. You should check out. But
Yeah.
no, again, going back to the Infinity, I always thought that it was interesting. The one time it's like it's just an idea, and it's like there's so many different types of Infinity, and he's like, you could just keep on counting, and you'll like from one and count up, and you'll never get to two, and it's still infinity, but you never get to two because you're only counting between like half the distance of one and two, like for measurements, I think it was. So it'd be like one, 1.5, and then half the distance between 1.5 and two is 1 3/4. So
Right.
then half the distance between, and if you just go by halves
Yeah,
each
yeah.
time, it's always just a little bit closer, but you'll never get
Never
there.
reached
It's
there.
weird because
Yeah.
yeah, because you're always counting. It's always going to be a bigger number.
Well,
It was
that
just
just goes back
incrementally
to, and I
smaller.
forgot the name of the theory, but they kind of mentioned, if you ever seen that movie IQ or whatever about Einstein and it's got Meg Ryan and everything, they
No,
mentioned that
no.
about, I can't remember the name, they named the names theories, but you can never, he's talking about the reason they couldn't dance is because they could never reach each other because if they each cover half the distance, there's an infinite number of halves. But yeah, they mentioned it. I thought that was one of the first times that that kind of piqued my interest. I saw it when I was young. It's a good show. That's what I like entertainment for, and I think a lot of people don't realize entertainment serves a value of teaching as well. Like that, I
Though
literally
not
remember a
always.
theory. No, no, and then not always end. But even the internet doesn't
A
teach
lot
right,
of the
so there's
times,
that.
a lot of the times, movies and stuff. Apparently, there's some study that's like inaccurate movies that make you
hmm
remember. Like, so if there's a movie that's a historical movie and there's
Oh, well, no, I'm not
inaccuracies in
talking about
it,
historical movies, but yes,
you'll
go ahead. hmm
well, okay, but still, it doesn't have to be a historical movie. It could
hmm
be like something about. A good example would be for me that movie 21 Grams. At the end of it, there's like, oh, every time somebody dies, you lose 21 grams. It happens every time.
hmm
And what's in the weight of 21 grams? You can even look it up if you want, or whatever. Something
Yeah,
that's
but
how
it
it
was that
ends.
botched. It's a botched. I'm sure we talked
And I was
about
like,
this in season one.
okay, I'm gonna look it up.
hmm
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
a
not
botched
everybody. It was
experiment
one
that
dude.
happened once. Yeah, and it
It
was
wasn't
just
botched. It
BS.
was actually a pretty good experiment, but the findings of the experiment were it was a small group of people,
It's botched because it
and it
wasn't
was a very
reproducible.
well, no, it was one. It was one. The experiment
Right,
was like 12 people, but it was the reason they came up with that number was just the first guy
right. And
got
they
that
said that
21
was the
gram
number.
thing,
Right.
and the next guy was like 7 or something, and it would vary between everybody. I think even
So I
like a
said
couple of
botched
them
because
maybe
not
gained weight, and
reproducible.
then
Yeah.
if they lost the weight, and then after a few like after a while the weight would come back, and it's just like what? So it's not botched. I don't think the whole process of it is good. It's just the data that came from it is just inconclusive in any way,
It
shape, or
wasn't
form.
well, okay. Well, it was misconstrued, I guess, without trying to make it sound terrible. If you never reproduce the same number, then throwing out any one of those numbers could have been the weight of the soul. You could have changed it. You could have said the weight of the soul is more, or whatever. The soul actually makes you lighter, and you get heavier as soon as it leaves. I mean, you could have come up with any BS
Yeah.
you
Yep.
wanted from that study. Is my point. They just magically
Yep.
settled on one of the stupid numbers and turned it. That's what I mean by botched.
Anyway,
There was nothing that backed it up. But yeah, I get your point. That's what frustrates me with that point.
my point with movies is that if they have any inaccuracies on it, even if there's a study that shows even if you know the truth behind it, when you'll that movie will
hmm
like change
It
your view
changes
on
it
it. So
because
for
it's all about
historical
memory.
stuff,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
and
I guess yeah,
synapses.
because unless you were there, you just remember the pictures of the movie.
Well, your mind
And
creates
then maybe
synapses
like,
in the different roads, and if you make more because now you hear sounds and it pulls at emotions and you have seeing, those are multiple different synapses you just connected to a memory of something you read in history class. So now you have three visuals versus your teacher talking to you in the book that you read. You know what I mean? Like anyway, there's a lot more to it. It creates more synapses. That's the reason you're going to remember it. Logic. It's not even a fallacy thing. It's literally just how our brains learn and restore information is flawed. But yeah, it's not. It's not necessary. You know what I mean? Literally, if you take in any false information, it's going to sway and change how you remember, and because especially how much you feast upon it, like music, right? So you ever notice you can listen to a song, yeah, all right, something you haven't listened to in 10 years, takes you
no, I've
instantly
never been
back.
able to listen to a song. Never have I
Takes
been able
you
to listen to a song.
instantly back, right, to the specific time, place, moment. You can feel it, smell it, taste it. Every little aspect of that detail is good, right? Okay, cool, 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 cool. Don't listen to it for a week. Listen to it next week. Does it take you back as strong? Yeah, maybe. Listen to it over like that for the next month. I promise you by the end of that month, it doesn't take you back to that spot at all, not even close. You can't even remember the smell. You remember you remembering it, but it doesn't take you back like that. And it's because you're creating more memories of the remembrance than you are of an actual memory. And therefore, it literally, by remembering it, you're literally dimming your memory.
Well, that's how memories work. With a song, it's a little bit different because you're listening to a song again, so you're adding more memories on top of it.
Correct.
So
Same thing with the information of watching the film with already learned history.
Well, yeah, well, I'm just saying, you're remembering the memory, and that's how memories work, but songs, it's not necessarily remembering the memory. Now you listen to the song, the next week, on top of that, scent and the smell and everything that it brings you back to, it's also going to tack on, wherever you are.
You were sitting in the car. Right. Mm-hmm.
So eventually it's just like, oh man, now this song makes me remember sitting in the car.
Or it just releases dopamine and you don't remember why. I mean, let's just be honest. Right. It just dumped the dopamine either way. Right. You don't even know why anymore. It's just a good feeling song, period, the end. No, I know. But I'm saying the same thing with that, with the learned history, and you read it and then you watch it and you're creating the more memories, and that's why it dissuades it. That's also why we have so much of the Mandela effect and stuff, which I know we've talked about before as well. But it's still one of the most fascinating things. There's... Yeah, forever, man. Forever, I'll still argue POW was a two-player.
I don't care because I know.
Don't care either.
I think I got curious once and I googled it.
No, we did.
Somebody else online.
Yeah, no, there's a decent amount.
Man, what's going on?
There's a decent amount of people. We were not alone. We were not alone, man. It's classic.
But it's so weird because I remember vividly,
me too.
With my brother,
literally choosing who would get the first knife and the second knife to throw. No, I know. Me too, buddy. Because me and Joe always map things out like that with everything. Every game, heavy barrel, all of them. We used to do that. I remember
getting to the helicopter and the one thing, and seeing who could get there was like a machine gun.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And you would take turns getting the different cool. Yeah, that's what I mean, man. I'm telling you.
No, not me. My brother would always get it. I always get pissed off because I wouldn't get it. But how does that happen if it was just me playing? Why would I get mad for not being able to get
Maybe you could just never get it and only your brother could get it? I don't know, man.
Something like that, right?
Right.
Or, no, maybe there's like once or twice where I got it. In actuality, probably what really happened No, it was really just a two-player. But if we're going down that route, probably he got further than I could get.
Yeah, right? And that bothered you, but that's not how you remembered it.
Item.
Right.
And I'd be like, that's so cool. I want to get that. I want to go there.
So then you always just felt like he beat you to it. Yeah. Because he did beat you to it, but he didn't beat you to it in game.
Yeah. Maybe I would get to it like once or twice. And I was like, yeah.
Right.
And that was the one time I remember us. No, I got it for,
Yep, exactly. I don't know. But that's for you, but not for me. Because, like I said, me and Joe map things out. Like in Heavy Barrel, he would always take any of the flame ammo, which we'd always memorize where it was at, and I'd always take the spread ammo. And we literally had that game figured out, memorized. We knew who would grab each of the different Heavy Barrel pieces, who would get the first Heavy Barrel in the first game. We had all that stuff mapped out. We did the same with Battletoads. We did the same with all that stuff. That's why we work well together still, even now in video games, is because our whole life we literally built, planned, and worked around it.
Jerk playing video games.
Yes, because you're so... I know, I keep trying to tell Joe that, too. I legit do. I'm like, it's not even really Foreman's fault. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, because literally that's how Foreman and his brother played. It was like, first one to it gets it, period. So for Foreman, he just has to rush, because if he doesn't get to it, he's not getting any of it.
Actually, it really is. Now that I really think about it, like if I never really put that much thought into it
Oh no,
before,
I
but yeah,
did.
no, my brother would just play and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just taking all this stuff, blah blah blah." But I was the younger brother, right?
Yeah,
So
so
I
you just
wasn't
had
as
to
good as
suck
the
it up
video
and take it,
games,
right?
so I would never get that stuff. And anytime
Right,
I got the chance, that's why I super pounce on it. I'm like, "Who got mine?" You
right,
know, like because
right.
if I didn't,
He would swipe
I
it
never
up.
got it to begin with,
Correct.
really. But like. I, I actually remember after being super young, while I was still young, I would play games with my cousin. My cousin would always come over. We were pretty close when we were younger.
Oh yeah,
Still
absolutely.
close, but I haven't talked to him forever. But he would come over.
I know since your
He would
second
live.
marathon, man. It's been a while, right? Oh no, you went down to Florida and
Uh,
visited after that marathon, right? Didn't you one more time?
I ran a half marathon, then a marathon, and then I did a second half marathon.
I know, but I thought you visited
Uh,
him one more time, but maybe it was for that second half marathon. Okay.
I
I swore you went
I
down
went
for
down for his
something.
wedding
Yep.
too.
See, I thought
His
so.
wedding.
Yeah. See, I wanted to say wedding, but I didn't want to say that in case he hadn't been married. I didn't want to throw him under the bus in case. So I didn't want to say it. I was trying to be cool, but yeah, I was 100% sure it was that, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, no, it's the wedding.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I guess that was the last time I saw him. Was his
Yeah,
wedding?
I think it
That's
was, man.
weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he would come over to my house like every summer. He would come over for like a week. Some summers I would go over to his house for like a week,
Right.
and we would play video games and stuff. But we would play like some games, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in
Love it.
Time. When we were really young, it would be like Turtles 2 or whatever.
The
But
arcade
when I
game,
got a little,
excuse me.
yeah. When I got a little bit older and we played Ninja Turtles, I noticed I would have that like against him because I was better than him finally, than like my brother being better than me.
Yeah.
So I'd pounce him, and not that you can pounce somebody in Turtles, not that you can like take
You can get to the
items and stuff,
pizza
but
first. You can run ahead and hit the cones or hit the
I
fire
wouldn't.
extinguishers. There's plenty of
I
things you
wouldn't
could do.
always.
You could get that power up that would let you. There's plenty of things you could do to
I
screw your
wouldn't.
buddy in
I
that.
wouldn't. I wouldn't always do that specifically, but I unconsciously would always kill more foot soldiers because they always had the count, and when you killed so many, you would get like a level up and stuff.
Yep.
And I always noticed I was always way ahead of him, and he'd be like, "Always, why are you killing that guy?" I'm like, I don't know, I kill these guys as fast as I can, and there's guys over near you, so I go over there and I kill them really fast. Because that was just my mindset, I guess. Like as younger, like you need to keep up with.
Right,
Like my
big bro.
mindset in video games has always been set to like you have to try and go as fast as you can and as hard as you can. Take everything as fast as you can because that's the
Right.
only way you could even just keep up with the
Right.
person you're playing with.
Right, exactly, and
Yeah.
it comes from how you gained growing up, and it's exactly what I keep trying to tell Joe. I'm like, you and me, we had to split, we had to make everything work, because me and Joe shared we're 18 months apart. We
Well,
shared
yeah, I was gonna say, I
everything.
think a
We
big
were
part of that.
together non-stop. So learning how to get along and
Yeah.
share was the only way to survive. So the way we game is almost instinctual, because we just know how to share, we know how to split, we know how to circumvent without even
Yep.
saying you go left,
Yep.
I go right. We just do it because it's 30 years of sharing and splitting the world. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you're pretty close to each other, so that
yeah.
age, so that
Oh
makes it
yeah,
a lot
18
easier for me.
months. I mean, we're
My
basically the same age, so I mean, that's nothing.
yeah, my brother's like 4 years older than me or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
which isn't.
So half the time you probably annoyed the crud out of him, and the other half the time he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, he loves me. Cool. I like it."
yeah. So nothing too crazy, but that's enough of a gap to make it so
Yeah, yeah. You just have less
growing up,
compassion,
it's
and it's easier to be. I'm big, you're small. I'm older, you're little.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
No, I get it.
yep,
Yeah, it
yep.
makes sense. I understand completely.
So.
Mm. And speaking of all that gaming, I actually want to get to gaming, and I know Joe probably is still up wanting to play some Hunt.
Yeah, I was gonna end this soon here so we could get to that.
Perfect. Yeah, I really want to get
on
to
too
some
much of a
Hunt.
flow, so I didn't want to cut it.
Me
But
neither. It
yeah,
was beautiful. It was rolling, but we might as well stop here because all that video game
it's
talk got me hungry for some games.
def-
And I worked hard
definitely
today,
long
so
enough.
I
So,
am ready to play.
with that, yeah, if you want to see us play video games, maybe we'll start streaming too. For anybody who might be listening, just let us know. Email us at that email address that I never really check anymore. The Eric Hunter Podcast at gmail.com. I think
Yep,
that's it.
that's
Oh,
it.
I'm so
It's just
horrible.
erichunterpodcast@gmail.com. You forgot the.
Is it the or is it? I don't know.
It's Eric
It'll be in
Hunter
the, if
Podcast.
you're listening on the podcast, it'll be in the description. I have it, so check it
Yeah.
out.
Or just comment on the
And
YouTube comments. That works too.
cool. I forget how I end these things
You
now.
don't know. You never have. It's always awkward.
I didn't know there was a small period of time where I had a
We did
definitive
have it
ending
down.
to it.
It
I'd be
was
like,
like season 1
hey,
and
check
2.
us out.
And I'd be like, and see you next week. Yeah, but it's because. Yep.
All right, man. Whatever. That's it.
Yep. Thanks,
See ya.
guys. Bye.
Cool.
And scene.
Also,
Yes, please do.